Romance under the northern lights. Far up in the Arctic Circle, nestled among the snow-covered peaks of Norway, lies a small, charming town named Tromsø. It was a place where the winter nights stretched for hours, and the skies were lit up by the ethereal dance of the northern lights. To many, it seemed like a magical world untouched by time, and to Ingrid, it was home. Ingrid, a young woman in her late 20s, had grown up surrounded by the beauty of the northern wilderness. With her long blonde hair tucked beneath a thick woolen scarf and her blue eyes always alight with curiosity, she loved to wander through the snow-laden forests. She worked as a guide, taking tourists from all over the world to witness the majestic auroras that illuminated the night sky. Yet, despite the wonder that surrounded her, Ingrid often felt lonely. She had spent years showing others the beauty of her homeland, but had never found someone to share it with. One December evening, as she prepared for her last tour of the year, Ingrid's heart felt heavy. Christmas was just around the corner, and though she loved the holiday season, it reminded her of the absence in her life. She longed for a connection, for someone who could see beyond the stunning landscapes and into her soul. That evening, she was scheduled to guide a small group of tourists to a remote spot in the mountains. The group gathered at the base of the town, bundled up in thick jackets and scarves, excited whispers filling the air as they anticipated the lights. Among the group was a man who caught Ingrid's eye immediately. He was tall, with dark hair that stood out against the snowy backdrop and a camera slung around his neck. His name was Lukas, a photographer from Germany. He had come to Tromsø on a quest to capture the northern lights for a magazine feature he was working on. As they made their way through the snow, Ingrid found herself drawn to Lukas. He was quiet but observant, taking in the scenery with an almost reverent appreciation. Every now and then, he would ask her a question about the land, the people, or the legends that surrounded the northern lights. His voice was deep and warm, and his smile, though rare, was kind. The hike to the viewing spot was long, and by the time they arrived, the group was breathless, their cheeks flushed from the cold. Ingrid had chosen this spot carefully. It was a hidden gem far away from the usual tourist paths, where the lights often seemed closer and more vibrant. As the group settled in, sipping hot cocoa from thermoses and waiting for the sky to reveal its show, Ingrid found herself standing beside Lukas. The two of them exchanged small talk, but there was a gentle ease in their conversation that made Ingrid feel as though she had known him for much longer than just an evening. The night sky, blanketed in stars, slowly began to change. At first, there was a faint shimmer of green, like a brushstroke across a canvas. Then, as if the heavens had opened, the lights erupted into a dazzling display of greens, pinks, and purples. The entire sky came alive, swirling and twisting like ribbons in the wind. The group gasped in awe, but Ingrid and Lukas stood in silent wonder. Lukas quickly began to take photos, his camera clicking as he tried to capture the majesty of the moment. But even as he worked, he would glance over at Ingrid, as if to share the experience with her. After a while, the others started heading back to the village, but Ingrid and Lukas lingered. The lights continued their dance, and neither of them wanted to leave just yet. Ingrid felt a strange sense of peace being with him under the shimmering sky. "They're beautiful, aren't they?" Lukas said, breaking the comfortable silence between them. "Yes," Ingrid replied softly, her breath visible in the cold air. It's like the sky is alive. Lukas lowered his camera and turned to face her. But you see this all the time. Doesn't it get old? Ingrid shook her head. It never gets old. Each time is different. And I love sharing it with others, seeing their reactions. Lukas smiled, a thoughtful expression crossing his face. I can see why. It's indescribable. I've traveled all over the world, but this, he gestured to the sky. This is something else. There was a pause, and then Lukas spoke again, his voice softer. You must love living here. Ingrid hesitated. I do, but sometimes it feels isolated, beautiful but lonely. Lukas looked at her, his gaze understanding. I get that. I've spent so much time chasing beauty in different places, but sometimes it's not the place that matters. It's the people you share it with. The sincerity in his voice caught Ingrid off guard. She looked up at him, their eyes meeting in the soft glow of the auroras. There was something in that moment, something unspoken, that made Ingrid's heart beat a little faster. As they stood there, side by side, the lights began to fade, leaving the night sky dark once more. But the connection between them remained. A quiet but undeniable bond formed under the northern lights. Over the next few days, Lukas and Ingrid spent more time together. He joined her for other tours, always with his camera in hand, but more often than not, they found themselves talking about life rather than work. Ingrid learned that Lukas had been traveling for years, never staying in one place for long. He was always on the move, always searching for the next breathtaking shot. But lately, he had started to feel weary, as though something was missing. I think I'm starting to realize that beauty isn't just in the landscapes, Lukas told her one evening, as they sat by the fireplace in a small cafe. It's in the connections we make, the people we meet along the way. Ingrid smiled, feeling her heart warm at his words. She had spent so much time guiding others through the beauty of her homeland. But with Lukas, it was different. He saw beyond the surface, and in doing so, he saw her. As Christmas approached, the town of Tromsø became a wonderland of lights and decorations. The streets were filled with the sounds of carols, and the scent of cinnamon and pine filled the air. Ingrid and Lukas spent their days exploring the town and their evenings watching the northern lights, their bond growing stronger with each passing moment. On Christmas Eve, after a festive dinner in the village, Lukas took Ingrid's hand and led her to the edge of the fjord. The stars were bright overhead, and the auroras shimmered faintly in the distance. It was a quiet, peaceful moment, and Ingrid felt a sense of contentment she hadn't felt in a long time. I never expected to find something like this, Lukas said softly, his eyes fixed on the horizon. I came here for the lights, but I think I found something even more beautiful. Ingrid's heart swelled as she looked up at him. And what's that? Lukas turned to her, his expression gentle and full of warmth. You! Before Ingrid could reply, Lukas leaned in and kissed her. A soft, tender kiss that felt like a promise. A promise of something new, something real, under the glow of the northern lights. As the snow fell softly around them, Ingrid knew that this was the moment she had been waiting for. The moment when her heart, like the night sky, was lit up with the beauty of love.
Thank you for listening. Like, subscribe, and share our channel Magic Mingle with your friends to enjoy more magical stories.